Yeah, I think we should get started. They will keep joining as they see the link. So let's just kick off. All right. So welcome everyone. I hope you all can hear me. Let me. Hello. Okay. Yeah. So let's begin. More students will keep joining as we proceed. Yeah. So everyone, welcome to this interesting session. Um, it's glad to have everyone here, and very big thanks to our speaker for making it here to be with us to share his knowledge. We really appreciate it. So, yeah, the title of this topic of this session is Beyond Hacktoberfest: Growing in Tech Through Open Source. So, as you all know, we are currently in the season of open source, which is basically Hacktoberfest. So, we thought it right as a community to put together an event that would, you know, talk more about making contributions to open source and open source in general, because there are a lot of things that we might not know how to navigate and the rest. So yeah, we have a speaker today. I don't know if you are really deep into the tech space in Nigeria, you might know our speaker, but I'll just let him introduce himself. Hello, Franz. You can go on now.
Hey, Wisdom, thank you so much for the invite. Hello, everyone. How are you doing today? I'm Franz. I have been a software engineer for the past 8, 9 years. And one of the things that have impacted my career the greatest is open source. So I'm very excited to be talking about it today. So today I'm going to do my best not to waste your time. I will just go straight to the point, give you the information in as few words as possible when I get the chance. Thank you very much for having me. I'm really excited to see very passionate people about open source from Nigeria. I mean, Nigeria also. So, very, very nice to meet all of you.
All right. So I don't know. Should I do the introduction? Or you would go on to do that? Well, yeah. So I
Now,
was.
if you're okay, I can just go on to starting the presentation, if
Oh,
that's okay.
all right. Yeah, you can go on. All right.
Yeah, sure. Is that
Yeah.
okay? We
Uh, okay. Well, let me just do it at once, just for those that might not know. Yeah. So our speaker today is Frank Carty. He's a software engineer, an Auth0 ambassador, also a Udemy instructor with over 65,000 students. Um, he has a book. He's an author of a book called Deploying Node.js, and he's also the core maintainer of an open source headless CMS, and an API builder called TensorJS. So he's an odogo in the space. So yeah, see, I brought the best for us. All right, so you can go on.
Okay, thank you, people. Please tell me if you can hear me.
Yeah, we can.
Okay. Wisdom, can we try to record the call? If we can record, it's okay. But I think it'll be very valuable for others if they're not here. Just try
Yeah, the call. I'm
to
recording.
record.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So I will just go ahead and start by sharing my screen. Okay. And please tell me when you can see my screen. You can see my presentation.
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay. Good. So beyond Hacktoberfest, growing in tech through open source. Um, Hacktoberfest is the season of contributing to open source. So first of all, if you want to get the slides, just go to catfans.com/openuyo. So that way you can see it from your phone, you can see it from your laptop, you can always check it out. That's the link. So what's open source? It's software that is public. You can see the code. It's under a license, so you can use it however the license permits you to. You can even copy the code and sell it. Depends on what the license permits you to, right? So this is Tensei. I created this project about 2020, and it has 500 plus GitHub stars, over almost 10 contributors, and it's a way to build APIs really fast. You can. It's also a headless CMS to manage content at companies and B2B companies. So I built this project because I really love open source. But what did it do for me? So it gave me 10x more interview opportunities. So I applied to a job, but then once I added the 10Say to my project, I realized that I get more interview opportunities for remote companies. Because one thing you have to remember about the tech game is that it is all about evidence. The tech game is all about evidence. So the more evidence you create to prove that you can get the job done for a business, then the more opportunities you're going to get, and eventually the more compensation, the more fulfillment, the more value you'll be able to provide to businesses. I experienced immense growth and learning and improvement because I decided to build a project in public via open source, make it public. So people gave me feedback. I received feedback. People gave me contributions. I received contributions. It gave me immense growth. Then I skipped technical interviews at some companies because a company would be like, hey, let's have a technical interview. We love your resume. And then they'll look at my project and they'll be like, oh, this gives us all the information we need to know how good you are. So no need for a technical interview. And eventually, I was able to mentor the people that contributed to the project and train my leadership skills. So those are four things that the open source has done to me personally, and I would love to kind of give you the idea on how to grow to that point where open source creates more career opportunities for you, makes you become more than just an average software engineer or an average designer or an average data analyst, someone in tech. It can really skyrocket your career. All right. So there's three levels of open source contribution. So I'm going to show you how to start from the beginning and then how you grow to the highest point, right? When you begin to see the huge impact it has for your career. So there's the level one, which is the extended user community. And this is outside here. For example, Google Chrome, I think many of us here use Google Chrome. This is an open source project. And basically, it's a browser. People from all over the world are using Google Chrome. And the Google Chrome open source community is made up of a ton of people, starting by the extended user community. I am part of the open source community because I'm using Google Chrome. Now, when I use Google Chrome and I see something that I don't like, I go to the project Slack or the conversation or to GitHub and I put a comment there and I say, hey, I was using Google Chrome and I noticed there's something wrong with it. That's it. You don't have to write code. You don't have to be part of the core team that is developing the software. You can start by just being an extended user community member, which means find software. We'll talk a little bit about finding soon, but Google Chrome is an example of an open source software. You just be part of the community. You use, you give feedback. You use, you give feedback. That's the first level of open source, and that's the level that you have to start with, right? Which means that from day one in tech, you can start open source. It's not about writing code. That's just part of it. From day one, you can start open source. So it means that if you wanted to start your open source journey today, you can actually start. You find a piece of software that you use every day that is open source, like VS Code, then you start using it. When you have some feedback, you go and put it there. There's always going to be, questions. Hey, how do I solve this? You can help other people solve it. You can help other people, teach them how to use Google Chrome. You can answer questions from people about Google Chrome. That's already open source contribution to the Google Chrome project. Now, that's the second level, which is the extended developer community. So this is where you're actually contributing to the value of the software. So if you're a data analyst and you're working on open source for Google Chrome, then you'd be able to pull in data and actually build the parts of the software that have to do with data. If you're a software engineer, this is where you're actually writing code. right? And then contributing to the source of the open source project. Like VS Code now, you see something you don't like, you go, you raise a pull request to the community, and you make a contribution. That's level 2. Now, level 3 is where you create your own project. And you can only create your project when you've already contributed to other people's projects, so you can learn how to contribute. So level 1, just be a member of the extended user community. Level 2, the developer community. And level 3, become a core community member. You contribute or you create your own project. All right. So those are the 3 levels, and your growth is going deeper and deeper. All right. So please, I hope we are all together that you can start contributing to open source today. Right. And then as you progress, you learn how to code or you learn how to design, you can contribute now as an extended developer member of the open source project, and finally eventually own your own open source projects. All right. So I'll give you some actionable steps, just straight to the point, so that you can actually get started, know exactly what to do for your career. Number 1, learn a skill and master Git and GitHub. So if you're a developer, these are non-negotiable. If you're a developer, you must know at least one programming language to be able to contribute to open source and master Git and GitHub. But it's not only for developers. If you're a data scientist, you need to have the skills of a data scientist to contribute to the project, right? If you're a designer, you need to have the skills of a designer. That's Figma to be able to contribute to an open source project. So remember, level 1 is what we can all start today. You can just start using the software, giving feedback, helping other community members, talking about the software. All of that is open source contribution. This is level 2, where you learn a skill and you begin to contribute to the core. That's level 2. Good. So how do you find this? When you're starting out and it's just very early beginnings, then Hacktoberfest is a really good way to get started with open source. So you join Hacktoberfest and you'll be able to create simple pull requests to projects. I'm not going to go deep into that because I'm here to just give you direction so you can know exactly what direction to take your career. Okay? So Hacktoberfest is a really good way to get started with your career. You get started by contributing actual code, and that's how you train yourself to know how to use Git, how to use GitHub, or how to contribute value to an organization. How do I find what to work on? Hacktoberfest is great. Firsttimersonly.com is also great. That's only step 2, and we're still going. There's many steps. So step 3 is actually making a contribution. Now, there's one rule about open source. If you really want to make a valuable contribution, then look for something that is actually providing value. So when you go to Hacktoberfest, they make it very easy because they give you these hashtags, good first issue. You find an issue that you understand, right? You find an issue that you are able to explain, like, hey, this is what I'm fixing, and then you make that small contribution. This is the beginning of your open source journey. And always remember that you're working with this. At level 1, you're just an external community member. Then this is level 2, where you're actually going and becoming a member of the extended developer community. Good. So this is step 3. You've been able to create tiny pull requests for Hacktoberfest. Now we need to go beyond Hacktoberfest, right? So this is really where our operation and our career starts. All of these are really valuable for your career, but now you need to make the huge impact changes. For example, if you're part of the, I don't know, if you want to leave the country, like go to the UK or move to Canada, they are going to ask you for your impacts in your community. And this is where you actually get to present, oh, this is the evidence that I have created. And it all starts by making a bigger contribution in open source. So step 4 is finding an open source company. So when you're doing Hacktoberfest, you can concentrate on one company and make small improvements. But when it's time to do a bigger contribution, then you need to find an open source company. An open source company is basically a company that is building an open source software in public, but then they have just like a one main direction, something they are working on. You can get these companies from Hacktoberfest. So if you're working on just one company on Hacktoberfest, then you're working on that company and providing value, and then you begin to take in bigger responsibility. Or you can use this website called Y Combinator. These are companies that are based in the USA and their code is open source. Like this one called Mattermost. If you just come to Mattermost and you say Mattermost GitHub, this is their GitHub, this is their website, this is their code. It is literally open source. It's in TypeScript, right? You can visit their website and you notice that they're a company based in the US and they build collaboration tools for technical teams. So you're like, oh, so this is building collaboration tools for technical teams. Let me read more about the company. Let me learn what they do. Now that I understand what they do, because it's very important that you know in your career, your goal is to provide business value. So if you want to really push your career forward, you're looking for, oh, real world experience. Where do I get real world experience? This is it. You're looking for a company that is an open source company, and then you're providing value to that company. That's how you train yourself. That's how you push yourself to grow, because right now there's so many people into tech, but there's very few people that are good. So if you want to be good, this is it. This is the way. So this is just one example of the hundreds of companies that you can find on Y Combinator. I'll just show you the website real quick. So if you come to Y Combinator, what you're looking for is to go to their companies startup directory, and on the left hand side here, look for a tab called open source. This is it. So once I select this, all of the companies that I see here are open source companies. Look at open source companies, open source companies, open source companies. But here's the advantage. These companies are based in the US. So now you begin to work remotely with designers, developers, engineering managers, people that are based in the US and are very, very good at what they do. All right. So let's take this one for example. Explore. This is building automated WireGuard networks for distributed systems and Kubernetes. Nice. I go to their website. I read more about what they do. I understand what they do. Good. I go to their GitHub, and then I read more about their code. I see, oh, they're using Go language here, and my programming language is Go. Nice. Then I begin to see about how can I contribute value to this company, because it's a real piece of software. If you want real world, that's the one thing that you need to grow your career. It is contributing real value to a real business. I have someone that I mentored just last year. She started in tech, and she spent 6 months contributing to open source. 6 months just contributing to a company that she found on YC. She was just every day she would wake up, she just contribute. She became an amazing developer. In less than 2 years of joining tech, she was able to land a job, and now she's working as a full-time employee. But how did she get past the interview? Like, she literally did an interview with about 7,000 applicants, and they choose just 5 of them. And she was one of the 5, because she spent a ton of time contributing real value to real businesses. So how do you get beyond Hacktoberfest? That's step 4. Find an open source company. You can go to Y Combinator. You can see companies that are doing Hacktoberfest, but you just choose one and you focus there to create maximum impact. All right. You start with small bugs, then you proceed to medium and large features. Then you document all of your contributions and the impact you created. Now your resume is empty. By the time you leave school, your resume will be empty. This is the best way to put things in your resume. And this is just one of the ways that open source can help you learn the skills you need to develop real world software, and at the same time build your resume, at the same time put things in your resume that is going to convince a company to give you a chance. All right. So this is the focus here. So beyond Hacktoberfest is making contributions to open source company consistently, so that your impact can be measured. You need to be able to measure your impact. Maybe you fixed a bug, and now you realize that that open source company is being used by 1,000 people. So in your resume, you're going to say, I fixed the bug with the navigation bar used by over 1,000 people. That's how you measure the impact of your work. But if you just fix a bug in Hacktoberfest, maybe it's a package that is, helping people change the color of their backgrounds. That's really good to learn your experiences and grow, but you need to go beyond Hacktoberfest. You need to start making bigger, larger contributions to open source. And that starts by locating an open source company and then beginning to fix the bug so that you get accustomed to the code base, and then you begin to make medium and large size contributions to that company. Good. Then you document everything you do. If you raise a pull request for the date picker, you document, I contributed so and so to the date picker. You keep writing it down. You can write down technical articles. All of these are going to give you that experience and evidence that you need to be able to land opportunities in your tech career. Good. So create impactful open source project is the next phase. So this is beyond even the level where you've contributed to a company. Then you'll be able to now create your own project. It does not have to be big. It can be something small. It can be something valuable that solves a problem for someone somewhere, right? Find a problem you can solve it using world class standards. And I don't want to go deep into world class standards, but if you're going to get my book, it's going to be very valuable to you. If well, I think I'm going to be releasing it next month. I would really love to give all of you free copies when it's out. If it was out now, I've given you, but it will teach you how to develop software using world class standards. That way, you can create an impactful open source project, and that's why we're talking about beyond Hacktoberfest, right? So beyond Hacktoberfest, you should target an open source company, contribute to them for a few months. You're in school, you have like the best opportunities in open source. Then after that, you can go to the next level, which is creating your own open source project. So that if you want to migrate out of Nigeria into Canada or into UK, and they ask you, what's the evidence that you're a good technical person? You document all of your open source experience and you say, I contributed to this company for 6 months straight and I contributed tons of value. The feature I developed, which was the error handling feature, was able to save to be used by 1,000 users in production. That's how you measure the impact of your work, right? And then after that, you can create your own package. You can create a package that does what? Auto scans resumes. You're just using a PDF reader to read a resume and give feedback to the user. You can create such a product, make it open source. It's going to be used by a ton of people, and people will give you feedback. You also grow, and then you'll be able to measure the impact of your work. All right. So that's step 6. All right. So are we still together? Please give me thumbs up if we are still together. All right, all right, all right. So, tips and tricks, just a few things that you should remember. Number one, talk about the skills you gain. When you're working on open source with people in different time zones, that's a skill. You've learned how to work remotely, you've learned how to collaborate and communicate with people. Now, that's the reason why you pick a company, right? Because if you come to this company, you can see that they have their GitHub. I think they should have it somewhere in the footer. Yes, you can see they have their GitHub, they have their Twitter. There's almost always a conversation group where the community members of that open source project chat. So I don't know where it is right now, but if you go through, you will see it's either a Slack, it's either a Discord. It's usually a Discord. You can check this one. There's usually either a Discord or a Slack where you can go there, participate in the conversation, right? Now that will teach you communication. These are really valuable skills that you need for your career. So when you're talking about your skills, this will be doing interviews, this would be doing job fairs, this would be in your resume, this would be in the articles that you write. You say, hey, I had a chance to communicate with someone that is based in the US and we're able to develop this software. We talked about the feature and then I implemented it. Give and receive feedback with the team. They'll give you feedback on your code, you implement it. Talk about these things. Say, hey, this person gave me feedback and this is how I learned this. You talk about this in interviews because that's what interviews is all about, to talk about your experience and then be able to transform that into being able to prove the skills that you say you have, right? So don't just leave school and then be wondering, what can I do? You can build your experience such that by the time you're stepping out of school, any opportunity you see, you have way more evidence than any other person, right? That's what I've seen people do. And that's just the secret. All right. So highlight your contributions. If you updated a CSS file and it was used by 5,000 developers, write it down somewhere. If you created a documentation for an open source project, always reach out and ask, hey, how many views has that page gotten? So you can now say, I created a documentation read by over 10,000 people in the first month. That's how you document your contributions. If you added automated tests, if you're doing DevOps into open source, you add an automated test and it's running test. You can say, okay, I created a CI that is running over 2,000 tests per day for an open source project used by 1,000 plus people, right? You highlight your contributions, you write down the things you do, and it starts by picking one company and then contributing consistently, because that's the only way you can really do bigger contributions. If you're just doing, hashtag this, at the end of the day, you won't be able to create impact, measurable impact, and that's the secret. All right. Number 3, highlight related knowledge. All right. So if you are following an agile workflow when contributing to the open source project, some open source project use Kanban for project management. Even though these skills are not directly related to software engineering or design, but these are related skills or related knowledge that you gain by contributing to the open source project. So write them down. For example, my friend was contributing to an open source project, but then in that open source project, they had this thing called stand-ups, where every morning they will meet and then it's free for anybody to join. And he was joining these calls. It's just 10 minutes every day. But during an interview, they asked him, have you ever had any experience with Agile? And he said, yes. He was contributing to an open source project, and every day he was joining their stand-ups. And now they told him, yes, you have enough project management and agile experience to be able to join our team. And that's how he got a remote job. So highlight your related experience, not just the code that you contribute. Always be very, very keen. No other person's responsibility. It is yours. And using these skills, I really hope that you'll be able to take it into your hands. In summary, number one, beyond Hacktoberfest, pick an open source company. You can pick from Hacktoberfest, you can pick from Y Combinator, which I highly recommend because these are companies that are very focused on business, and your goal is to learn how to write code for business. So you've picked a company, then you begin to become part of the community bit by bit. You join the Slack or you join the Discord, you begin to contribute, you begin to talk about it, talk to the founders. You're not asking for anything, you're just there to grow yourself. Then you make your first contribution, your second contribution. Then you begin to ask for more and more responsibility, take on bigger responsibility, learn how it works to be able to contribute code. That's how you go, that's the route. And then you begin to document your contributions, you begin to document your knowledge, document the things that you learn, and measure the impact of your work. Even ask, how many views has this page gotten? This page that I did, you write them down. And that's the evidence that you'll be able to take, put in your resume, put in your applications for visa, put in your applications to speak at conferences, put on Twitter to for people to recognize you, and that's how you push your career forward with open source. So I've given you a ton of tips that I've personally used. For someone to invite me to come and speak in open source, it means that somewhere, somehow, the things I do in open source reached your organizer and he was able to invite me. And now I can take this and I also present like, hey, this is my own contribution to the open source community. And you see, it's just a network of progress. I'm progressing my career, trying to help you progress your own career. And I really hope that these tips are going to help you. All right. So that is all I prepared for you today. I don't like to present much. I just present a little so that you can understand and remember what you're taking home. So again, you can go to katifrance.com/openuyo and that will bring you to the presentation so you can see the slides. All right.
Oh,
Thank
yeah.
you.
Wow, this is very packed, and I really learned a lot. I mean, this is a different way to view open source. You know, because traditionally we normally just just stumble on any project and just try and just wiggle our way through it. But I really gained a lot because this is really kind of like a cheat code. All right, I saw someone hand raised up. Yeah, Richard, you have a question. So yeah, let's have questions now in case one or two things are not really clear, so that he can clarify it for us. So, because me, I have a lot too. So you guys should go first. Just raise your hand. All right. Yeah, go on. Ojari, sorry. Let me know.
Hello,
Oh yeah, yeah. We can hear you.
hello, good evening, everyone, and good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Question is it possible that one can join two open source contributing company just to see if one can learn from both and starting small at the same time?
Yes, yes, it's a good idea. always remember sometimes you can be stretched, right? Because sometimes it can be hard. But if you have the opportunity to contribute, maybe to one project you're contributing documentation, and to the other project you're contributing code, that's also going to play for your value, right? So always remember that the goal is to create those evidences, measurable evidence. That's what I call it in my book, measurable evidence that you can get the job done. Create measurable evidence. So in one project, maybe you're creating documentation. So you can create the evidence that I contributed 5 pages of documentation read by over 50,000 developers monthly uh, on that open source project. Or if in the other one you're contributing code, then you can create measurable evidence for the code that you're contributing. All right. But I wouldn't recommend more than two, because now you're stretching yourself. You might not be able to create reasonable value for both projects. But yeah, one for start, and then you can create your measurable experience from there, and then you can also stretch to two.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you
Oh,
for asking.
all right. Any other question? Stop that.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, okay, yeah, you go on.
Yes.
All right. I really don't know if it's going to be a question or it's going to be a contribution. I don't know if now would be a good time for that.
I
Yeah,
think you
just
can go on. I would
yeah,
love
go
to
on.
hear. Please share.
All right. So I'm Slash Jackson, and a user experience designer, also an open source designer. So I just wanted to chip in as regards the design, the UI UX design aspect. You know, most time when we talk about open source, people tend to limit it to just the coding. If it's not coding, it's not going to be open source, right? But I just want to basically debunk that info, and just I'm sure that there are other designers here on this call. So I also wanted to let the designers know that you can also contribute to open source even as a designer. Is to build the experience and to get noticed as well. I think that's my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
thank you very much for your valuable contribution. Yes, I have seen people join a team as a UI UX designer, and then they're like, there's no show of the open source for the design, but then you go to the Slack and you ask, oh, can you hear me, Wisdom?
Yes, yeah, we can hear you. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I was just trying to share a little bit more from what Slazen just shared. Very valuable information. As a designer, you can reach out to the team and say, "Hey, do you need someone that can help you, join your design team and contribute?" Many times they would just say yes, because you're here with a heart of value. You're trying to contribute value to the business. Sometimes you might have to ask on Slack, because it might not be public knowledge, because most people talk about open source only for developers, but 100% very possible. As a designer, you look for a company that has a public figure, and you can actually get tasks like, hey, just do this drop down, do this button, and then you begin to take in more responsibility, like designing landing pages for the open source project. 100% very valid information there. Thank you very much for sharing. No matter what you're doing in tech, there is a place for you to contribute and build experience in open source. Thank you so much for sharing again.
All right. We have another hand. Goodness. Okay, you can go on now.
Cool. Any other questions from anybody?
Ye-
Yes.
Yes.
Good evening, Mr. Kanti. Thank you very much for your section. I really learned a lot. So I have a question. It's pertaining to my field of learning. So I've been learning cybersecurity for some time now, and I developed great interest into to the forensics and threat intelligence. So I don't know if you know any open source project, open source website I can contribute to, because I really want to grow in that field and I want to have hands-on experiences. The ones I've been seeing are mostly bug bounty, challenge, all those stuff, hacking and all those stuff, and that is not really the part I really want to venture into. Thank you very much.
Okay, yeah, thank you for sharing. So I haven't done like the research to find the companies, so I can't list anyone off the top of my head, but I'll give you one clue that you can use as a direction. There are foundations that are excuse me, that are just focused on software security, right? And then you can find one that is very specific to your domain, even though I'm not very familiar with it. But first of all, start by looking into the foundations that are very specific to software security. They're not very popular in quotes because the information online is all about developers, but then they're extremely valuable, and their guides, they write publications, research papers every year. They write top 10 security best practices for software that runs on mobile phones or on desktop. So that's where I would say you should start searching. From those organizations, you'd actually see the organizations that sponsor them, and those are actually cybersecurity companies. So what I recommend is find those organizations that are doing security focused work, and it's just like for free. Some of them write research papers. Like I know that the let me see, OWASP organization is just focused on web security. So it's an open source foundation that does web application security. Every year they make publications, they're writing articles, they're doing things like that, and that is how they contribute a ton to open source. Very valuable. So I'm very sure that there's an organization like this that is doing exactly what you're looking for. If you're doing web application security foundations in open source, if you're doing cybersecurity foundations in open source, if you're doing your specific domains foundations, and then from there you can continue your search. But I promise you they are there. If you can send me an email after this, I can help you with your search. But that's exactly where, or the direction I'm going to search to be able to find one. I hope that helps out.
Yes, thank you very much. I appreciate.
Thank you for asking. I think you're learning a very fun stuff. I'm wishing you the best.
All right.
Okay. Any other questions, visions?
Any other question? I think we have just 12 minutes on a Google free tier. So
Yeah.
yeah, let's work with that. Do any of us have any questions to ask? Or it's safe to say we have all digested everything our speaker has said. So if you're like me and you have learned a lot, please just let me see your reactions. All right. Okay, so I guess this session is a massive
Awesome.
success. Thank you, fans, for making our time to join us. It's quite wonderful, and we have really learned a lot. And we're going to put everything we have learned today into practice. Yeah, so thank you once again for joining, and I think everyone should have a lovely day. Yeah. All right. I think we'll have to end here. Oh, Jackson, you have something? Please be quick about it if you don't have time.
All right. Thank you, everybody. You can reach out to me on Twitter and we can chat. You can send me an email, anything I can do to help. Thank you so much for attending and thank you for staying till the end.
All
And
right.
thank you so much for the invite.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much. Okay, and I guess we'll draw the curtain there.
Okay.
All right. Bye bye.
Thank you.